welcome back to One More Tune.
Hello.
Two live musicians talking about the trials and tribulations of the gig economy in the UK.
Yes.
More trials. I guess trials and tribulations are both slightly negative words. And I think you've been having a weekend full of that, haven't you?
I have. 100%.
Yeah, gigging goes smooth. Gigging sometimes doesn't go so smooth.
Yeah, I need to keep into perspective that it could always be a lot worse. You know? It's not been the best weekend, as you'll hear. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, I probably got myself a little bit more stressed than I needed to about the situation. But so we'll start with the first. Basically, the whole weekend went great except for Sunday.
Yes.
That day must have been cursed or something. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, so bit of context. This weekend in Liverpool, as we're filming it, has just been the end of the Premier League season and the Liverpool parade and stuff. So gigging in town, you have to really love the game. Either be a Red, singing Liverpool songs, or love the game. I avoided town this week, except for going for Radio 1's big weekend, which was really good. Connor was gigging in the middle of town.
Yes. This was on the Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah.
Not
so
the
before
Monday.
the parade.
Even I, being like a, pretty big Red, even I would not go near town. I mean, I know a lot of friends and family did, but I had such a hectic Sunday. I'm building the anticipation here for this. I had such a hectic Sunday that I just did not want to do anything and stayed in all day on Monday. So Friday and Saturday, not an issue. Went without hinder. It was great. I can't even remember where I played, but I only did...
Friday, you were with me at Claremont.
Okay, yes. So
you
I
weren't
didn't even
playing.
Sing. I didn't even sing on Friday.
Connor was videographer for the night on.
That's correct.
Friday.
I was making you look good. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll post some videos. You've probably seen them already.
So Friday, it was doing that. Really good night. Claremont went great. Yeah, didn't it?
That went off. Even with the rain, people brought their own gazebo and stuff and just stuck it in the middle of the dance floor.
You'll notice the gazebo at the front of the stage. It's not normally there. So Friday was great. Saturday was... Oh, okay, yeah. So Saturday was this... I played a gig on a new venue, and it was a venue I was supposed to play at previously. Didn't manage to get to play it, so it was technically my first gig there. And it was really quiet because every single person was at Radio 1's big weekend. Yeah,
unless you were a bar servicing the areas around either the footy or Radio 1 big weekend.
Yeah.
I think it might have been quite a quiet weekend for people. To be fair, me even trying to do Claremont on the Friday was asking...
It was a ghost town. That's not an understatement. Obviously I was in West Kirby, so it's not like I was in Liverpool. But even there, from people I spoke to, everybody's friends and family and that
people were
all
doing one of two things,
or
saving themselves for a different day or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So basically,
that's not always necessarily a terrible thing if you're playing a gig and it's a bit quiet. If there's understanding that it's not your fault because we're not there necessarily to draw audiences in rather than keep them there.
100%. But in a way, I play the devil's advocate here in the sense of, if it's your first gig on a venue and
you want it to go well, don't you?
And it's quiet, you can't necessarily show your true
You can't
set,
show yourself in the best light.
Because you're not gonna... You look like a maniac if you get up.
Four people and you're just...
Yeah, exactly. You look like insane. So you have to then chill this out a bit to suit the atmosphere.
But then I feel like you can only ever be 60% good. If I have to really... not half-arse, but do things at a significantly lower energy level. Yeah, it is not as rewarding. It really is. Unless you're that type of musician, anyways, where chilled and smooth is where the wheelhouse is, and there's some people who absolutely smash that. Yeah. If you're one of the musicians who can do the sort of big, high pumping party energy stuff, 100%. To then bring it back down 100%. To that, it's honestly like you're playing with gloves on or I don't know, cotton wool in your ears or something. Exactly. It doesn't resonate in the same kind of way.
100%. I had so there was only about 4 or 5 people in the bar, and I still got them up dancing, which was amazing. So the only people that were in the bar were dancing.
We're doing a conga out of the front door.
Anyway, not quite, but they were dancing, dancing as well as they could be for the atmosphere.
Yeah, cool.
And then the guy came up to me at the end and he said, mate, he went, I've just got engaged today on West Kirby Beach. This is my fiance.
Oh, right.
He went, I know it's been quiet, but you've like really, really
brought the atmosphere,
made our day. Like, we'll remember this night forever. And then I felt great in my heart. And I was like,
that's really sweet and rewarding.
I was like, considering the whole time.
Has he asked you to do his wedding?
Well, this was what I was going to go into.
Because someone texted me before saying I got engaged on West Kirby. No, but
no. I messaged Carl. I actually messaged Carlos about this on the night, laughing because I was going to message you, but then realised you were probably drunk watching Sam Fender, so I just didn't bother. Anyway, so I messaged Carlos, and I said basically we were laughing about it. Basically, this guy was like, "Oh, we want you to play the engaged guy. Want you to play at our wedding." And I was like, okay. And he was like, well, what's your charge? I hate it when people just come up and go, what's your charge?
I never quote on the day.
Yeah, so I said, look, I'm not really sure. It depends on the date stuff. Here's my Instagram /number. Just give me a message. Right, all good.
Kind of giving his number out in West Kirby again.
Oh, yeah, I know. Anyway, but it was to a guy. That's probably not helped the case. Anyway, so I gave out me...
You also look like you've got a bit of glitter on your face or something.
Ah, well,
Where have you been?
Honestly.
It's been a wild weekend, but got it.
It has. Potentially do. But yes, I forgot.
You were giving your number to this guy.
Yeah. Okay, right. It's been a hard one.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so I gave my number to him, and basically he was like, what was sort of roughly ballpark, what do you charge? So I told him a rough ballpark for the date that he told me. Bear in mind that this wedding was in 2 years' time. So I was like, whatever, rough ballpark. And I was like, but if you message me, I just did say up front,
we'll be able to go through it a little bit better.
I said, we'll go through it a bit better. I said, I do require a 20% deposit. He went away, drunk, obviously. He was drunk. He come back and then tried to give me the money for the deposit, which
in cash.
This is what I was laughing about with Carlos. I messaged him because I did not accept the money. Obviously, I was like, mate, first of all,
that's not a legit.
I was like,
if you kind of know him or something, maybe. But
yeah, I was
like, a randomer just giving you cash. I don't take that as a
drunk.
Sincere booking.
I was like, you're really drunk. Like, you might wake up in the morning and be like, well, I just gave this like random guy a load of money. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I couldn't take it off him. So basically, I just said, listen, I can't accept it. I said right now, I was like, just because we've got a lot of stuff we have to go through, whatever, to make the booking, legit, whatever. I was just like, so anyway, that was that. That was my Saturday. I'm not even going on to Sunday, sorry. So that was Saturday. That was a weird thing. Sunday then was Sunday, right? So I was playing. Obviously Sunday. Bear in mind,
I guess we're probably not going to name the place, right?
Well, I'm not going to name the second place. I can name the first.
Yeah.
So the first place where I kind of messed up a little bit.
You messed up the first place?
Yeah, with the raffle.
Oh.
So, okay. As a musician, professional musician, been doing this for over 10 years now, I've never once been asked to host a raffle. Have you done any raffles?
Never in my life.
Okay.
The most I do is the announcements of like first dance or the buffet's open already, that kind of shit.
Right, yeah. Okay, so basically,
not a tombola.
There was nothing in the contract to say that I had to host this raffle. But this guy comes up to me, and this is at a pretty reputable hotel. It was from the Village Hotels group, so they've got multiple hotels.
Were you in Bromborough?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
So, really nice hotel, if you've been to it. They got like a Starbucks inside.
Yeah, and they got a spa and a pool and stuff.
Gym and spa. Yeah. Really nice hotel. Anyway, which makes
what
I'm about to say a lot worse. So, like, I was playing before and after the Liverpool game. Final game of the season. The trophy lift game. Just going to rub it in there. So as I say...
I'm numb to these things by now.
Right, okay. Anyway, so I was playing a set before and a set after the game, after the trophy lift.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn your mic off. Carry on.
So anyway, obviously at half time in the game, they wanted to do this raffle. So they gave out all the tickets for free. It was part of booking to go and watch the game.
Okay, you got a free raffle
ticket. It was a free raffle ticket, right? So anyway, so I was doing a raffle. And the guy comes up to me and he says, the manager of the hotel says, "Oh, I want you to do this raffle." And I was like, "Raffle? I've never been asked to do a raffle." I was like, "Okay." So anyway, so I get up and I'm like, "Well, how hard can this be?" Right?
Yeah.
You put
You
your
can
hand
blag a
in
raffle.
the bucket. You put your hand in the bucket, and I didn't have any assistants or it was just me doing it all. Right? You know what I mean? So it was a recipe.
What were the prizes? Was it just like a table and people come and pick stuff?
Wait until you hear this.
Oh no!
So
no. Why do these things only happen to you?
So this is so good, right? So anyway, so the comes up and it goes, okay. So the first prize of the evening is it's a free. I think it was a free 2-night stay for 2 people at the hotel, which is probably worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah, maybe like a few £100 or something. Yeah.
So anyway, so I draws out the raffle ticket. First time I've ever hosted a raffle, and he goes, "Okay," draws it out, and the tickets are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's like a strip.
Yeah.
So I says, and the numbers are 1 to 5, right?
Meaning that potentially 5 different people win.
Anyway, so I'm like, get a girl, and she comes up and she's like, "Oh my God, it's me," raving around this raffle ticket. I'm like, "Oh, well done." No one else comes up, so I'm like, "Well, she must be it." So I gives her the free stay vouchers. I'm like, "Congratulations."
Yeah, and you're like,
she goes, she sits down. About 30 seconds later, somebody else then comes up to me and goes, "I think I won that first one," and she gives me the ticket, and it's the right ticket, and I'm like, "Well, hang on, this doesn't make sense." So then I finds out off the hotel management, because I'm like clueless. When I said 1, 2, 5, she had 1, 2, 5, like 125, the raffle ticket.
Did you not check it? Did she not hand it to you? Did you not go, "Oh, let me see"?
Listen, this was my first time doing a raffle, okay? So anyway...
yeah, but if there's a prize, you could just say, "Oh, I've got that, I want it." And if it was Connor's raffle, you just go and get every prize.
I was doing when you're in McDonald's and you have a number, they don't check the number, they just go, "There you go." Anyway, the point is, so what happened in the end was that the hotel was said to the person who should have won, "We're really sorry,
we can't.
We'll give you the same prize as well." So I basically gave out a free 2-night stay to some random person, and because of my mistake, probably cost the hotel hundreds.
Double
of pounds.
your fee.
Yeah,
double your fee again.
Oh, so
you should have had to pay for that.
So it was their fault because they asked me to host the raffle.
Yeah, but your incompetence isn't someone else's lack of planning.
Well, they should have hired a professional. Professional raffle.
Connor takes if you go, "Connor, I've got this gig for you." He'd just say yeah before he knows what it is.
Yeah.
Before he really asks any more questions,
100%.
which is very good segue to your second gig, because you definitely didn't ask enough questions.
Well, I did. I was misled. Okay. I can't name the second venue.
This might be another one where I say that you also could have done something differently, but
maybe.
Yeah, no, I am on your side, because it does sound like a bit of a headache.
I can't name the venue for literal defamation reasons, probably.
By the end of this,
I'm probably not going to say great things about this because I was so angry. But
I guess if they know you and know what weekend this is, they can work backwards from who was playing.
You know what?
I think it's from the story. It's so obvious what happened. Anyways,
it's the best venue I've ever played. No,
it is a venue I've played at before, so I get a text off you saying, "Oh, what's the loading like at this?"
Oh
venue?
yeah, you're responsible for this because they get my contact details from you.
You don't have to say yes to every single gig.
In the process of being very, very transparent about this, obviously I'm not going to read out what the venue is. I just want to read out the wording of this message so you can say,
okay,
was I misled?
If I got a message in asking me to do a gig and it said this.
"Hi, Connor. I was given your number by Harry James."
Okay.
So you're responsible for all of this, first of all. I work...
Trying to get Connor work, being a good friend, all that.
Yeah. I work for Redacted. And we are looking for an upbeat musician for Sunday, the 25th of May. Obviously, this was a couple of weeks ago. 8 till 11. Are you available? And if so, how much? Okay? So, saying I work for a bar and we're looking for an upbeat musician, are you available? You've got to agree that you would take that as it's a bar gig. There was no mention of any...
Yeah, on title lift day, in town, upbeat tunes, 8 to 11, I work at this bar. How much is a pub gig question? And we
100%.
have tiered pricing, which is pub gig, private gig, wedding gig.
Yeah, 100%. So, obviously, it gives my quote. All is good. And then I arrives at said venue. And
you text me asking what the loading's like. And when you do the pub gig version of this gig, you walk in the front door, set up straight there, and it's a piece of piss because you're in their system.
The reason I asked you is because I get to text on the day saying you'll need your own speakers. And I'm like, that's weird. So I'm like, I thought you said it's normally plug and play. So I was like, okay, maybe they're having an issue with the system. I already had my speakers from the Raffle gig anyway. So I was like, okay, great. So
it's not a super unusual request. It's a bit unusual.
Yeah, so I was like, not out of the ordinary. I get there and I parks in the place where you told me to park, which is right next to the venue. It was great. And I goes in and I says to the guy behind the bar, hi, like, where am I setting up? And he's like, huh? We don't have a musician on. So then he speaks to another guy, and another guy's like, oh, yeah. He's like, okay, he needs to go up the set of stairs and then turn around and then go up the other set of stairs. And I'm stood there.
And then a ladder comes down
and I'm
you
stood
climb the ladder.
there with a PA in my hand, like, okay.
So this is the first thing that's gone wrong.
This is the first thing that I'm thinking to myself. This is weird because everyone I know and seen that have played this venue have been like there in the corner or something.
You can see him through the window from the road on the outside.
So I'm like, okay, whatever. Takes all the stuff up the stairs, which took me a good amount of time, as you can imagine, because it's up like two big.
It's not wide staircase either. It's flat.
Yeah, it's a really like narrow stair.
And you turn back around on yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, whatever. Okay. So I does that and basically gets up there. And as I get up there and I set up and everything, I'm looking about. I'm like, huh. And I see that like
you're kind of looking out for clues about why this gig's weird. What's happening?
Because to point out, like I get up there and there's no one up there, like no one. And I'm like, why am I setting up here and there's no one? And downstairs is chocker. So anyway, I notices like all these bottles of champagne on ice, and then they've got like these glass, I don't know what they're called, like glass pyramid, like pyramids of glasses or whatever.
Champagne tower thing.
Yeah, champagne towers. So like I was like, something's definitely astray here. And then it was only when finally the person who booked me, she said to them, oh, just so you know, like this is a private party for the owner of the bar. And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. So, yeah. So I was like, but obviously then everything clicked because it all made sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on.
My own speakers, not the normal loading.
Yeah, 100%. Now, yeah. So obviously, I'm then a bit sort of ticked off about this because I'm like, hold on, like
you from the message you got from the gig, it actually is you're basically getting paid like
a pub fee,
for
a private party for not just a private party, but the guy who owns the venue, who's you know what I mean. So I'm just a bit like, hang on a minute. So anyway, at first I didn't say nothing because I was like, do you know what? I'm here, I'm set up, I'm annoyed about this because it's a serious miscommunication and.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
You could argue that that's, in another situation, that's someone being deliberately devious.
Exactly. I don't know whether it was just a case of
miscommunication,
they didn't
whatever.
really see the difference, maybe. But in my mind, obviously, on a bank holiday Sunday, last game of the season for Liverpool, you know, really busy summer bank holiday, for a private party, I would have expected a much higher fee.
Probably double.
Yeah. Especially for like the owner of a said venue as well.
Middle of town,
in the middle of Liverpool city centre. So anyway, basically, I was annoyed about it. But whatever, I got over
Some
with
people
it.
would leave. Some people would be like, nah, I'm not.
I would have, but I just took all the gear up 3 flights of stairs.
Out of principle of not being asked to unpack again.
I'd rather play because I was out of breath.
I'd rather stay for 3 hours and gig.
Exactly. So, anyway, I plays the first set, right? And no one was there. So
The whole first set.
So not the whole first set, but probably the first 35 minutes. It was about 5 people in the room. I think one of them was like a bartender. So I'm just like
There's
sat
more
here, like,
staff than people at the party.
I'm like, this is a private party. I've been like misled about this whole thing. I've had to come up 3 flights of stairs. I've set up, and now I'm playing to 4 people. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So anyway, I speak to the bartender. I think I spoke to him on my first break, and I was like, "What time is this kicking off? Like, what's going on?"
People come in. Where are we?
And basically, like, he was like, "Oh, well, like, people can get there like anytime. Like, it's a private party. People will arrive whenever they want." He was like, he said, he was like, obviously, if you booked from 8 till 11, which was the time I was booked, he was like, if you booked from 8 till 11, like, I would just say, like, just play 8 till 11, like, regardless of who's there. So I was just like, okay, whatever. At this point, I was just like, whatever, I want to go home. So I just was like, okay. So anyway, obviously, this is at the beginning of my break. 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, they come over and they say, "We're really sorry to ask you this, but like, is there any chance that you can like play some music, like out your speakers between the sets?"
Yeah.
So
For private parties, that's quite a normal thing, yeah. But for pub gigs, you might not be prepared for that. And you told me that you didn't have all your cables.
I turned to him and was like, maybe a little bit passive aggressively, but not like, I wasn't being funny or anything. Yeah. I just said, to be honest with you, mate, I was like, I wasn't unaware. I was under the impression this was a pub gig, not a private party. So I don't think I have the equipment to do that. I was like, if I would have known it was a private function, I would have brought that, but I didn't know. And he was like, "Oh, it's fair enough, mate. No worries." It was like, just like, if you could have a look, if there's anything you can do for me, it'd be like a lifesaver, because we've got no way of playing music up here. And I was just like, why have you booked a private party upstairs for the owner of the venue and you don't have a way to play music? That's so ridiculous. But anyway, I was just like, okay. I went downstairs and I got the stuff, because I did have the stuff, even though I said I didn't.
Out of principle.
I always have the stuff because
you keep 12 versions of it in your car.
Yeah, 100%. I always have backups.
Spares, yeah.
So anyway, so I was like, okay, whatever. So I went and I...
you weren't feeling necessarily accommodating at that point.
100%. I went and I got the stuff and I plugged my phone through the speaker, played some music off like the first Spotify playlist.
Any playlist. Yeah, you're not exactly the star DJ.
Exactly. So anyway, I did that and it was all good. And then what was it? Oh yeah, I got back on.
Okay, so how busy at any point what was the maximum number of people you were playing to at any one point?
25.
Okay.
So we got up to 25 people, and then obviously
did it go down well? Were they not bothered?
No, not really. They weren't bothered.
Okay.
It was like I'd got like claps and everything at the end. The only time a couple of people sang along was when I played one Liverpool song. What was it? The Dirty Old Town Virgil van Dijk thing.
Right. Brilliant.
So
just to make this gig even worse, they started all singing Liverpool songs.
Yeah. So anyway,
sounds like a nightmare.
So I finishes the gig. I get to the end, and then I packs down. And I'm like, okay, it's finally home time. It's been a long day. At this point, I've been out of the house for like over 8 hours because I'd done that other gig first. So I was like, I'm tired. I want to go home. So anyway, it's all good. So I get all the stuff back down. I goes all the way down the stairs with all the equipment. And just as I'm at the car, just as like we're at the very sort of end of this, I basically had a bit of a fucking nightmare where the said manager again came out and was like, oh, like, is there any chance that you could give me like a speaker, like one of your speakers, like for us to use to play music through for the rest of the night.
Have you lost your headphones?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, 1 second.
We're still recording. Yeah, it's fine. So I've got it in the left channel now.
Yeah, I've only got my left channel. We'll get through to half time and then we'll figure it out. Okay.
I feel like I've got me in ears on though. 'Cause I only ever have one in. So basically,
you're booked 8 to 11. It's already been a twat of a gig,
100%.
and then he starts asking you if you can leave your stuff behind.
yeah, basically they were like, we've got no other way of playing the music for the for the party. They were like, you'd be really like saving our like skins here. Could you leave? Just leave a speaker and we'll use our phone to plug through to play things. And I was like, I was gonna say no, and then they offered me money. And I said because
in your head you're recouping some of the gap.
Because I was like, at least
misbooking.
At least I'm, even though it's a massive inconvenience having to go and get my speaker, I was like, at least I'm somewhat bridging the gap between the fee I should have got for a private party and the fact it was in a pub. So anyway, so basically I then ended up having to, because I thought they took the gear down.
Where's that speaker now, Connor?
It's still there. The reason why
So
it's still
terrible.
there is because
Obviously the parade and shit,
they
yeah.
said, "Oh, you can come and get it tomorrow." What, like tomorrow when the Liverpool parade? Is on, no chance am I going near the city centre. So
try and drive into town to try and get a speaker to try and drive back out.
So I'm actually heading up to get it after after we finish recording, potentially before or after me gig on Matthew Street today. So essentially, that was my gig on a Sunday. However, I will say, in fairness, that I have heard that the normal gigs on this venue are pretty good. And
they're straightforward.
that they're okay.
Really straightforward.
So, I definitely will be up for playing for them again and stuff. I just think in that specific circumstance, I do feel a little bit, whether it was deliberately or not, I do feel like I was like the gig was misrepresented.
I don't even think, based on what she said, that I would have asked any questions.
Yeah,
I think I would have just assumed it was a normal pub gig.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have even like clocked to think. I had one where someone messaged me saying they work at a pub and they'd got my number through someone who works at another pub that I'd played at.
Okay.
And they were asking about a wedding.
Right.
So I quoted for a wedding fee, but it was someone having a wedding that was like finishing in the pub. So they came back to me then.
It's interesting though.
And then went, well, why is your fee so high?
Yeah.
Because I was quoting for a wedding.
Yeah.
And like, they just want something low key in the pub. And I'm like,
It's interesting.
Because that is, I guess, a bit of a blurred line. It's like the wedding day 2 parties.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially someone's wedding. Or if people have an abroad wedding, what's quite common now is people come home and have a evening party.
Yeah.
But the bride and groom are still wearing the wedding dress and wedding suit and stuff. So
it's a crazy one.
That's like a new... I guess it might have been happening before, but it's a thing I've noticed more and more now is there's like there's sort of in-between gigs that don't necessarily fit into one category or another.
I have definitely had a couple where basically... I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was like last year. And I had one where basically people told me it was a private party, which wasn't a lie. It was a private party, but it was essentially they got married at the church and then they booked a function room.
That's just a wedding.
I know. So if
it's on the same day as well, that's just a wedding.
But they billed it to me as like, they
will have told the function room that it's a private party as well. They will have just said it's like a do.
But the thing is the people didn't come in wedding attire. They got changed and stuff.
Right, okay, so it's kind of casual.
The only reason I knew it was a wedding is because basically they asked could they give a speech at the party, and then they were like, congratulations to the couple today for getting married. And I was like, I wouldn't have had any idea.
Okay, I guess, but then that does, again, make it kind of slightly less of a wedding.
It's a very...
If it's a little bit less formalised, maybe.
I think it's a good idea to normalise, though, people essentially billing weddings as private parties to get to save a lot of money. I understand
that's going to happen all the time now. That's going to become such a thing because there's such a price boom and everything for weddings.
I understand from the side of the bride and groom, it maybe makes a bit of sense. But the thing is, right, I just want to go out on a limb and say that the reason that musicians charge a lot more money for weddings...
Same with everything. Same with photographers, same with caterers, same with florists.
It's because when you tell us that it's a wedding, we put a lot more... Not that I'm saying we don't put a lot of effort into all the gigs, but
there's more pressure, expectation, preparation.
Yeah.
You look in your calendar and that stands out more than other stuff.
100%.
There's sometimes requests.
Yeah.
They're often longer drives. They're often more involved setups. They're often later finishes.
Yeah, it's a much more tailored experience as well.
There's expectation on the level of engagement from the audience and stuff that puts more pressure on the performance, all those kind of things. So
100%.
There are like multiplying factors.
100%. So for me, it was like...
But if the party that you're talking about has some of those things taken out, so it's like less of a pressurized wedding situation, it's a less of a drive or any of those kind of things. And that kind of does...
It could be
bring the money down a bit. That's the
yeah.
thing about quoting, though. Like, everyone's got to find what works for them.
This
what
is the thing. People get like so sort of annoyed when it's like, oh, well, you quoted them this, but you quoted me this, and it's like, but no individual.
They asked for 2 hours in the afternoon. You've asked for 4 hours in the evening.
Like just because they're having a private party and you're having a private party does not mean that's the same in any way. It could be a different area, different time, different date. The date reflects the price. You know.
A Tuesday's cheaper than a Saturday.
Exactly. You know, different things reflect the price. You know, whether I'm skint, you know.
Whether I'm really desperate for the gig, I'll say yes to everything.
Yeah. No. But you know what I mean? There's a lot of factors that sort of reflect pricing.
Yeah.
And so nobody in my book ever gets quoted the same, which is why when people say, oh, look, what's your standard price?
Yeah.
It's like, you know...
It's hard. I don't quote on the day.
Price,
I say to people, I don't like quoting on the day because my reason is because I know I'm a people pleaser and I would lowball myself.
Yeah.
It's obviously a bit of a negotiation around money. Oftentimes people are very just straight up and accepting about things because I don't try and rip people off.
100%.
Try and people give an affordable, good version of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
Obviously, people just want to know what things cost, and that's how it goes. But obviously, there's, from our perspective, so many other things to factor in to get to a point where we could give you an actual hard number to represent something.
Yeah.
And what the level expectation
100%.
is. Are we just doing our sets? Are we doing the first dance? Do you need us to do announcements? Do you need us to do stay in until midnight and keeping the tunes going? Doing karaoke, which I am now going to start patent pending and offering out as an actual service because it goes off, mate.
Yeah.
Goes off. And it's just such a better way instead of just like putting playlists on and hoping that
100%.
it's the right vibe.
Yeah.
You are like giving people better than a DJ level entertainment because it's like you and your mates all going mad on the stage after
100%.
I've just been doing like tunes, getting people singing along. People just come up and get it. It goes so well.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, I hate the. What ballpark figure have you got? You're like, text me in the morning.
I hate it. I only give quotes now as well most of the time over email. And the reason why is because when I send it, I'm like, I can't see when they've read it. Like when I send the quote and then you get that read receipt thing on Instagram or something. It's like, oh no, are they gonna like? So I can't do it anymore. So everything's over email.
Jot form, yeah. And on Jot form, you can have drop downs where you say, what type of party is this?
Oh, yeah.
And they have to put private party or pub or wedding.
Okay, new bit of advice that I am going to lay on you. New bit of advice here is on your Jot form. I'm thinking of doing this. Now that I'm saying this on the podcast, probably every musician's going to do this, but it's a good idea. So a little bit of actual good advice on the pod for once. On your Jot form at the beginning, put a drop down that says, how did you hear about me? Right? Because, like, lots of businesses do this anyway. But
you
what
should
I've
have a drop down that
is,
says, Harry gave me your number.
Yeah. Heard about you from Hi. Harry James gave me your number because he couldn't be bothered doing my wedding.
That's exactly how it goes.
So anyway,
couldn't be bothered being in two places at once.
because the reason I'm saying this is because like I always ask them anyway, and it's better to find out. But if you get a ton of weddings come in 1 month and you're like, wow, there's a lot of weddings.
What's worked?
And you're like, how did you hear about me? If they say like, oh, like I see in this Instagram advert, well, you know that works, so put more money into Instagram advert. It's basic business. Loads of businesses do this. How did you hear about us? But sometimes you forget as a musician that it is a business, that you are a business, and a lot of these very standard techniques businesses have been using for years.
Yeah, it's really obvious stuff. It's like feedback forms and stuff after the fact.
100%.
I really should just get a little very straightforward feedback form.
Yeah.
I generally get, because the people book me quite direct personally, it's not like you are speaking to me when you're booking me.
Yeah.
It's not like through a business or a corporate kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's often, WhatsApps or Instagrams or whatever. So getting feedback is normally quite a natural thing where people just go, oh, hey, thanks so much last night, that's your feedback.
It happens all the time. Yeah.
But again, it's the same kind of like obvious formalized business stuff that we should definitely be doing more of.
100%. That's the kind of...
We've been getting a few people off our little duo videos on TikTok.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know.
I can't do that
crazy.
wedding, so you're going to have to try and do it on your own and loop it. But
That's fine. Brackley.
Where did you hear Harry gave me your number? I think that's a beautiful place to pause for our first half, and we can try and get our headphones back to 100%.
Yeah, no worries.
And we'll reply to a few
Fine by me.
emails in the break, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. Please remember to go and follow us online, TikTok, Instagram, all those places. Like and comment on this. You can book us for any private parties, events, weddings, whatever it is. Drop us a message on our socials. Come see us live. We're playing every weekend around the Northwest. Let's get back into the episode. All right, we're back in the game. We were going to talk about something that we've experienced a little bit and is currently a thing with a couple of people who post some of their guitar videos online and have
100%
become well known for it. So I guess, where does their story start? The duo, there's an acoustic duo who posted a video from the Edinburgh Fringe maybe 14 years ago. It's ages ago. It's probably 15 years ago, the Showhawk duo. And it's the first like main big video they did that went like pretty viral for that time.
So I knew them years ago. Not knew them, that's an overstatement.
You'd heard of them.
I recorded a music video because what happened was I used to be really good friends with people who worked in the beer cellar and in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Showhawk were doing a show in the beer cellar. And basically they wanted it recorded. I got asked if I wanted to like record it. So anyway, basically, long story short, is I met them. This was back way before they were even well known, and I will say, man, at the time, no one was doing what they were doing, and it was insane.
If you haven't seen them, they do a very stylized duo version of dance tunes like 90s Ibiza house classics, all that kind of stuff. One of them is the bassist / drummer, and he does a lot of like offbeat percussion-y, and the other guy plays the lead lines and stuff. And they do big mixes, like DJ mixes of 25 minutes of club house classics. It's not a million miles away from some of the stuff that you see a lot more regularly now with all the gigs in town. People playing with stomp boxes.
Yeah, 100%.
But there is an argument that they sort of pioneered it a bit. The sort of idea of doing
100%.
really clubby tunes on acoustic guitars. They don't sing as well.
Yeah, I think pioneered, maybe.
It's hard, isn't it? 'Cause, like,
maybe not pioneered, but like there's definitely been people that have done that before.
I think there were
the
early
first-
well-known stylistic
the first
influence.
people to be very well known that did it, like that kind of started selling out shows and doing festivals, doing it that I know of anyway. So obviously, they've been,
and it is a style that's kind of spread out a lot now. Like if you go to most of the bars in town and see a duo of a couple of lads playing, they'll be doing a lot of the similar kind of stuff. It's what we do when we play together.
100%.
It's what we do individually when we're looping stuff. Now it seems like just the way to play. For some stuff, like the really upbeat stuff.
The reason why is a lot of what they play is 90s, right? 90s, 2000s, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that what I've noticed is if you go back 10, 20 years, right? Most of what people would sing along to and play was the 80s, right? And the reason behind this is that when you step back, most of the people who were going out, you judge it by like what
When they were
music
15,
they like,
20,
like their
25.
nostalgia,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the thing is, now people are getting older, which means the new nostalgia
It's sort
period
of 2010s Katy Perry
is
stuff, innit?
is like the end. Like I'd
It's
say
15 years ago for
mid
us, like-
mid 90s stuff to 2000s now, right?
I think it's even further than that now.
You think?
I think there's
But
like
the 90s.
I think there's like Pitbull nostalgia and stuff, all that now.
Oh yeah, like when I'm doing like the DJ sets, that goes off. But
I think I think we're moving away from
yeah,
we're moving into
okay,
the next
okay,
sort of
yeah,
like Katy Perry and
yeah.
I reckon that's
100%.
going to take off.
Maybe. I do think so. Yeah, I do think so, especially with the students now.
Yeah,
But,
100%.
obviously, I think with the stuff Showwalk are doing, that it popped off so well because when they started doing it at the time, it was bang on the money where people were after that 90s nostalgia, that kind of like, you know, those songs,
Like rave days and stuff.
100%. So I think that's why it worked for them, and it did
Yeah.
work, and they managed to.
So I don't think it's unfair to say that they were like some of the early
no.
kind of I said pioneers. Maybe that's not what I mean. The sort of like people that sort of got it.
100%. They were the big names.
Yeah, because I'm sure they did a live lounge, Radio 1 Live Lounge.
Yeah, they were on Radio 1 Live. They played like Radio 1 Live. They did they've played in Ibiza. They've done like they've played all over the place, like in crazy festivals and stuff.
Yeah, so
done Glasgow as well. Glastonbury,
So the reason we're talking about this is kind of some parallel with like our lives and stuff and what we've got to consider, but also like when we're thinking about what little cover videos and stuff to post online, you get inspiration from places, and basically like one of the places that I'd seen recently doing well with a certain type of video is a couple of lads called Guitars on the Couch. Not this couch.
Two Scottish guys.
Are they Scottish or Irish? I can't remember.
I think they're Scottish. I think.
Okay. I don't clearly pay enough attention.
Could be wrong,
all.
but they sound like my grandparents. My grandparents are Scottish.
Okay, all right. We'll go with Scottish.
We'll go with Scottish. But there's something. But anyway.
And they do guitar covers, duo, sort of leaning towards the disco dance, 90s house, all that kind of stuff.
They are, but they have recently started doing more like Avicii and like kind of more modern stuff.
I think it's guitar playing within the dance genre.
Essentially,
is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Whatever decade it is.
Rave songs on guitar.
And there was so you sent me a screenshot last night.
Yep.
What was it? A tweet?
Okay.
Show what duo tweet is.
Show. I think I seen it on Facebook of all places.
Speaking of 2010,
because I've got one of them or something on Facebook.
Oh, you've got Madden or something. Okay,
I don't know.
right.
Anyway, whatever it was. Anyway, basically they put a post out and they were basically like, saying like, has anyone seen these guys? Like they're basically kind of copying what we do, kind of thing. We've tried to reach out to them multiple times.
I think they said more deliberately that they've like proper copied
some of the kind
actual
of
ideas
layouts
and
of songs and
notes
things.
and like the way things are played
like,
and stuff.
And so Showwalk apparently tried to reach out to them, and apparently they just blocked Showhawk on everything. Now the comments were very interesting about it. Some people were like definitely saying, "Oh, you can't do that to Showhawk." There was also some people that were saying,
"You don't own this music; it's all covers anyways."
Yeah, like there was definitely people saying like, you know, it's not your song, and you know, and basically like there's only so many notes on a guitar and so many ways to play a song, and like people were saying like, you know, you can't have a go at people for just doing a similar vibe to what you
because it's all covers anyways. What ownership do we have over any of it? But then I'd feel we for us the reason this resonates quite a lot is obviously because like we're doing some similar kind of stuff to that, but our actual probably bigger experience of it is around setlist choice and stuff. So like if we're on a lineup like one of the Claremont lineups, we all now have to have a little bit of a conversation beforehand to talk about. Well, 100%. Basically, it just ends up me having to not play any of the songs that get played earlier on and having to think on my feet in the last set to come up with an hour of stuff when the kind of core of the set gets played a little bit earlier on by other people. But
100%.
It's so hard because I see both arguments quite equally. I think the thing that separates it is when it's stylistic. So like anyone can play a version of a song in the original key and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you start to put your own ownership into it is when you start changing things. So, like representing the elements of the bass and the synth lines on guitar in a certain way, you are starting to put some creative value of your own into it. So, but then when that becomes a style in itself, that means that people are copying it all over the place. And if Showhawk Duo went out to most of the gigs in Liverpool, probably most of the gigs in Newcastle or Glasgow or wherever there's like a good, fun live music scene, that isn't like trad stuff like Dublin or whatever, you're going to see a lot of that. And then what do they do? Do they say that everyone's
also like
everyone's ripping them off?
So what they're saying is like their style, like the way that they play, right? But the thing is about that, it's kind of to me like saying, because I want to say like they're not, from what I've seen, they're not complaining about the songs. Obviously, you can't complain about the songs; they're not their songs. But what they're complaining about is like you say, like the style, the setup.
Yeah.
But the thing
one
is,
playing
right,
the heavy offbeat bass line and one doing the lead lines and stuff. But like,
almost,
how else do you split it? If it's two guitarists, how else would you split it up? That's exactly how you'd split it up.
It's almost like saying as well, a little bit, is like some guy, potentially, but some guy somewhere in Liverpool at one time said, I'm going to like use a stomp pedal. Right.
Oh, you're trying to give me credit now, are you?
I said potentially.
Right. I think I was maybe one of the early adopters for the SPD.
Okay.
The trigger sample pad one.
Right.
I'll be able to find out when I ordered that because it'll be in my email somewhere. Okay.
Well,
that'll be fun. That'll be interesting to find out.
Someone somewhere, potentially a young Harry James, decided I'm going to use an SPD, whatever, as a stomp, right? And if you look back to Liverpool 10 years ago, I don't think...
I'm not claiming the invention of a stomp box, by the way. No. I will have seen it from someone else.
Yeah.
Probably live, probably on YouTube recommended videos and stuff. So just before anyone comes at me going, Harry thinks he invented stomp boxes. Yeah.
But the point is, if you go back 10 years ago, no one used one, right? Then someone goes, oh, look at this. I can add this to me set. It makes me sound really lively.
It becomes the new standardized marker of how good things can be.
And then everyone's doing it, right? Because it works, right? So it's
You'll struggle to get some gigs in town now without having a stomp box.
If you go down Matthew Street or Concert Square or anywhere in Liverpool now, all you hear is boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And it's like... I use one.
I can understand how, from some people's perspective, that has become way too homogenous.
There is a reason, though. There's a reason. I understand this from the pub side of things, because if you think...
We've talked about this before. Yeah. It's cheaper to hire one solo who can do most of the volume you're necessary for a party in a room than it is to get a band.
Just imagine you're walking down the street, right? And you've had a couple of drinks and you're with your mates and you're walking down the street. And there's two bars, right? There's bar A and there's bar B. Now, bar A has got a guy going, I'm a creep, depressing everyone. Like, okay, I'm not gonna like.
We love Radiohead.
Yeah, okay. I'm not
that song's been killed though.
But you got some guy just playing the acoustic, or he's playing, A-Team, Ed Sheeran, just like nice acoustic things, bit of like Jason Mraz or whatever. Great. But next door, you've got a guy singing, like, I don't know, Avicii or Share Believe or something, or like...
Something really upbeat, proper...
With like boom,
big
boom,
sing-along.
So your drunken sort of brain is going, okay, if we go in there, it's like a bit soppy acoustic.
I can probably fall asleep in the booth. And if there, I'm going to be able to have 5 more pints.
It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh yeah, and like you naturally, your subconscious draws you to that, to the energy. And...
I hadn't thought about it that way before, but we are basically just appealing to the drunken middle of town.
Of course. And the thing is that the bars know this, they're not stupid. In fact, there was a bar owner that told me that, and he's like, it's just common sense. So if we're going to book an act, like if we have a choice, we're going to choose people who've got the stomp, because when people are walking past and they hear that, they hear the energy and they think it sounds busy.
There was a sort of blend over period when I was still doing a few gigs in town, playing like Wall of Fame or whatever, where stomp wasn't as ubiquitous yet. But because some people were using stomp and some people weren't, there was the word upbeat started to get used a hell of a lot. And if you were playing a bar and the bartenders asked you to come over and be more upbeat,
yeah.
but
it's
there's
hilarious.
a certain thing they were really referencing, which is like
yeah.
getting to play with a stomp in it.
It's hilarious because I could play a song really fast, like really upbeat, right, with no stomp, and they'd be like, "Can you play a bit more upbeat?" And then I could play a song that's half the speed,
Chunky, but with the stomp,
and all of a sudden
they'd be like, "That's it."
So they, if anything, it demonstrates, which I wouldn't expect them to because it's not their job, but it demonstrates that these people have no idea about music terminology or what they're talking about when it comes
to... it's just a results business, isn't
they
it?
They know
you
what
can see
they
the atmosphere.
mean.
Yeah.
They know what they mean in the head of what they want, but they convey it in the wrong way because that's not being upbeat. That's essentially...
It's just volume and
it's it's dynamic
having a
range.
drum beat with it. Yeah, dynamic range. Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I think it's one of them. I think back to the show walk thing with like that's kind of like saying, oh well, the other people can't use a stomp pedal because like using a stomp in my set was like my creative choice.
Or the first person to use a loop pedal. It wasn't Ed Sheeran.
Exactly.
It wasn't Ed Sheeran.
Exactly. I mean, before Ed Sheeran, Katie Tunstall used the loop pedal loads.
Yeah.
And before her, I'm sure many other people did as well. And and you don't see people going, "Oh, Ed Sheeran's copied my creative."
Yeah, they don't. But then some suckers fall for it and buy his guitar and his pedal setup and all of his rig and his gear just to be more like...
I want to point out that I don't have any of Ed Sheeran's own named stuff.
He has peeled the X and the O off his guitar now.
No, I bought that Martin before Ed Sheeran.
Oh, before he was cool, yeah. Before Ed Sheeran was born.
Signature editions or whatever. The thing is, he's ruined the guitar for me because that guitar...
Yeah, one of the things you get a comment of a lot is if you're using a stomper and a live loop, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, sick Ed Sheeran, lad." It's quite an easy thing to rip you with.
We need like a couple of other people to make it famous with the loop station, so it's more common. Because like, if no one else was famous with a stomp pedal, except for like Jerry Cinnamon, all you'd get
is...
the
stomp pedal's Jerry Cinnamon. Yeah, I think that's true though.
But
I think that does happen.
You've got like Jamie Webster and you've got like other people as well, Mumford and Sons. You've got quite a lot of people who used kick drums in that
actual
way.
Kick drums.
So people kind of... It's less commonplace, where with the looper, it's definitely still a case of, oh yeah, that's the thing Ed Sheeran uses. And it's like, oh, come on.
Especially when you play the small Ed Sheeran guitar.
I know, but...
And you wear your Ed Sheeran t-shirt.
I will say to the guy, which is obvious, because like think of it this way, how much money has Ed Sheeran got? He could have any setup in the world, and
he keeps it simple.
He uses that. It's because it sounds so good.
Yeah, it's live producing. It's like adding so much more
it's
depth
just,
and interest
even
and
like
complexity.
The little Martin guitar, I cover the top because I have like my capo and I have me tuner on the top. So I cover the headstock so no one knows what it is. And people who know what that guitar is will know anyway, but a lot of guitarists don't. And a lot of guitarists, especially older guys, who maybe never seen Ed Sheeran or whatever, they don't know what that guitar is. And they all come up to me and go, "Oh my God, that guitar sounds incredible for the size of it."
Yeah.
You know? It's such a big sound on the guitar, so easy to play. Which is why I'm just so annoyed that everyone says, "Oh, the Ed Sheeran guitar," because without Ed Sheeran using it, I think I would have been like, "This is the best guitar in the world."
Yeah.
Like, genuinely.
You got there before Ed.
Well, I bought that guitar in 2012, which is before Ed Sheeran was famous. I did still copy
Ed Sheeran was famous. Okay, we're going to have to do a VAR on that at some point. I reckon Ed Sheeran was famous before 2012. When did A-Team get
2012.
big? Was it?
Yeah, I think so. So
a month before Ed Sheeran got famous.
Okay. But my point is, I still did copy the guitar off him because I actually seen him that year. And
it's all a lie.
No, because I seen him that year when he played to like 1,500 people, right? It was like a small gig by
you
his
saw him before
standards.
he's famous.
Exactly. Yeah. Before he was mega famous. And the first thing I came out of that gig, and even like, oh my god, they're tuning. My first thing was like, I need to buy one of those guitars. That sounded incredible, and that's why I bought one. And I've used the same guitar ever since, and it just works.
And he plays A-Team every weekend.
No, I don't. I deliberately do not play Ed Sheeran songs except for that Castle on the Hill one when it's requested, because I do like that song. But yeah. Imagine if I was like pure just an Ed Sheeran tribute act.
Oh god, you'd make some money. Some people would book you. No. You could get to do more raffles because you probably play quite a lot of like Legions and social clubs and stuff. Because they have generally more tribute acts on than that.
Wear like a ginger wig.
Mecca Bingo this weekend. One in Birkenhead. Go. Get a gig. Tom Bowler.
Oh, no. My raffle career was very short-lived. Unfortunately.
So what about setlist thievery? Where does the line go on that? We were talking about this a little bit in the break and saying that there are... It's again, another multifaceted thing because we're doing covers. We don't own any of this music. You are... Over time, you build a set and build... your sort of core songs that always bang, and you get a bit more recognised for that. Like, you end up getting known for the songs that you play. If people come and see you, they might anticipate a few of the little, like, corners you go down or the mashups that you throw in and stuff.
Yeah.
And then if that again, I think that's the element of putting some amount of your own creative thing into it.
100%. One thing I don't agree with, which I said to you on the break, was I've had people at my gigs who've literally been sat at the front of the gig with their phone out, like writing my set list down, and I've seen them do it. That's a big no-no. For me, that's just like, do not do that,
I often try and like to contextualize our job a little bit, try and compare it to other similar fields. And again, it's not the same thing, but it's like comedy joke thievery in some respect. We don't own these songs, but your way of playing them, your way of flowing a set list is the thing that you're adding that makes you own that element of it. You don't necessarily have any sense of ownership over the song itself.
In a way, what you do when you play is a show, right? It's not like, I know people go, oh, it's a show.
Yeah, it's a show.
It's a show, right? And you sit and you think about the order and you think about, and it's a show,
You wouldn't play your biggest song last. You wouldn't play your biggest song first.
Yeah,
save it till the end, right?
To some extent, you just play in a wedding or whatever, but it's still a show, And to me, I think is like, if you're just playing similar songs to people, whatever, I don't see a problem with that. But if you're stealing part of their show, i.e., like, if people put a lot of time and effort and creativity into, like, this set list, and, at this point in the song, I'm going to merge into this other song, that is a creative, like, that's a proper creative artistic sort of thing to me. And
I think you have ownership over that, right? Your decisions on round
100%.
The corners you take, the things you mash up together.
Yeah, I think so.
But again, I think as soon as you poke that argument, it falls down though, because like you could just go, but no one owns any of these songs, and then everyone just disagrees.
Yeah, it's so I don't think there is a right and a wrong answer. I don't think there is.
Because I know I think
it's immoral.
Heard songs and made a note when you're out and a playlist is on or a DJ's on or any of those kind of things.
I think there's a difference between, I've heard people play songs and go, oh, I should do that. But that is not the same as,
I think that's okay with individual songs. I think that's okay with an individual song.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the line.
If you're sat for someone's entire
You can steal my song, don't steal my mashup.
I'm just going to, like, do all of this. This is great. Like, you've done nowhere.
Okay. You can steal my song, don't steal my mashup. Unless it's Can't Take My Eyes Off You, because I do have royalties from that song. I have contributed to the boom in Andy Williams.
I have helped you with this because I get requested to play that song all the time when I play in venues you play. And I think a lot of it comes down to we do have a lot of similarities.
Our style's similar, but that's why that's a good thing.
So I keep getting asked to play Can't Take My Eyes Off You. Also, You To Me Are Everything.
Oh, yeah. That's my, like, new starter. That's my new opener.
Like, And in fact, I refused to play You to Me or Everything the other week because I was like, no, because I don't want to I don't know, when people film it and then it's like, oh, he's
Looks
just
a bit.
it's just like
you don't want to think what I might think, even though I probably wouldn't care. Alex would be like, "Oh, Connor's stealing your set," and I'd be like, "Nah, it's just tunes, man." But
yeah, I don't like that because I think your solo sets have to be somewhat unique. There's gonna be crossover, but if you're just and I think
particularly if it's places that either us already play, you don't want to blur too much.
But what happened was I refused to play the song, and then when I finished my set, everybody was literally going like, "I would take the stars out of the sky," and I was like,
so you got bullied with that song.
Literally,
anyways?
Everybody started singing it anyway, and then I was just like, I just look like an idiot because I refused to play this.
You should have just played the song, man.
But it's more because
you want to have your own identity. That's the whole point. That's how we differentiate. It's how you end up winning work and stuff by people getting your sense of style or whatever.
Yeah, it's like we definitely have parts where we cross over, but then we have bits that we definitely don't. I do my Mumford and Sons stuff and all that stuff and whatever that that's quite different to the stuff that you do. And
I've got like a big 80s mashup and stuff.
Exactly, and things like that. Where I think you do have crossover, but everyone's a little bit unique and different. I think.
One easy way to go and get humbled again is just probably go out drinking in town on a Saturday night and go from bar to bar.
Do it, man. I can't.
And you'd be like, oh, I don't own any of my set lists.
And everyone
plays all the same stuff. Yeah.
And I'm part of the
problem.
We
sound the same. But it's the language that communicates a lively party atmosphere well.
But if it works...
Yeah, it's really hard.
It works. So it's like, why are you going to...
why would you change to make it harder just to be different and potentially worse?
I remember in Eric's...
We're on an hour as well, by the way, so keep this one brief. And we'll do what's going on this weekend.
But I was in Eric's a couple of weeks ago, and this guy was unreal. Really good. Mm-hmm. But... he played really obscure songs, right? And he said to me, he was like, "Oh, everybody sounds the same. I just want to, I want to be different." But no one cared. I know that, no one was dancing. No one was singing.
To a fault.
He was expecting people to be
sat... Pink Floyd B-sides. Why does everyone not know this?
He was expecting everyone to be sat there oh, what musical talent. And, honestly, no one cared. They were just play belter. You know what I mean? And
reading your room, knowing your audience.
And, it's okay, I get what people are saying. Everyone plays the same stuff. Yeah, we get it. But the same stuff works. If it didn't work, we wouldn't all play the same stuff. So, you can be very obscure and try and be different. And what normally happens is the bar goes, don't get him back on because no one really liked that. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, that's, know your audience is what I'll say from that story, basically.
Yeah. So, what's on this weekend? I've got a nice weekend this weekend. I'm playing for... This is going to come out after the fact, so I will have played for... But eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to get to the point where it comes out the same week and we can promote our actual gigs on it.
100%.
Or the following weekend or whatever it is. Black Lodge in town are doing their craft beer expo Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm playing the Friday night session, the Saturday night session. First time playing there, but I know Rob and I've been to Black Lodge a few times before, so that will be really fun. I went to their expo last year, and it got very busy, but rained quite hard. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and I'm hoping I'm undercover.
They've got a marquee.
They have a big marquee, but more people go than can fit in the marquee.
Yeah, well...
I don't know. Yeah. I can't really remember too well. What have you got on this weekend?
Well, I had a nice chilled week until you got involved. No. Actually, so obviously I had a very busy, chaotic week last week. And I basically thought, right, I'm going to chill out this week. So I had 3 gigs. One of them's today. And then I had 2 at the weekend, which was great. And then what happened was, as happens in...
Every week, every weekend.
In the summer.
Stuff pops up.
You obviously... had asked me to help with something, so I said yeah, so I'm doing an extra one.
You're covering for me for one on Saturday.
That's right, on Saturday, and then within the same hour, I got another text off a different agent who's really good, and he offered me a really good gig in a place that I will not pronounce on the podcast because I.
Oh my God, Connor, how'd you say Cheadle Hume? When he turned up today, he goes Cheadle Hulme. Cheadle Hulme.
Yeah, like Hulme, like the Hulme Bridge or something. I don't know.
Where's the Hulme Bridge?
I don't know. In Hulme. I don't know. Hume. It looks nothing
Cheadle
like
Hume. Cheadle Hume.
Okay.
You've lived around here your whole life, right?
Yeah.
Is that Cheshire Ways?
Maybe.
I can't remember. But I've heard of that before, and it's not Cheadle Hulme. Cheadle Hulme, that was so good.
Well, anyway, so I'm playing there on the Sunday. So I've now got 5 gigs.
You're going to play your music in Cheadle Hulme? Yeah. You might have picked up that Connor says music, not music, which is interesting when you work in the music industry.
Yeah. I'm promoting Muse, you know. As I say, but yeah, so at night,
music specifically for cows. Have you seen that cows love jazz music?
Oh, I have seen that.
We did that. Me and Alex did that when we were away.
Work?
Yeah, I've got a video. It was my background on my phone for a while. We were playing like a jazz like trumpet solo, and all the cows in the field came over to us. It actually worked. So what you should do now is go find a field of cows and play like some trombone solo out of your phone on YouTube.
100%.
That's my recommendation for the week.
Okay.
And we'll leave it there.
No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you later.